Hi there, and welcome to another module of the Permission Movement Experience. My name is Lynn Hawkins. I'm the creator of the Permission Movement, and I'm so excited that you are here today. I want to let you know a couple of things about what we're doing because the Permission Movement is not just a movement. It's a statement being made about giving yourself permission to be, do, and have all of the greatness that you were born to have in your life and to share with others and to help others to see in themselves as well. So I'm so excited to bring you today's show. It's going to be just as amazing as our guest who's here with us today. Actually, our two guests. And for me, there's a statement here, not just in giving yourself permission, but what the permission movement is all about. You know, we thought long and hard about just being co-authors in a book, and there was something missing. And then the vision came that this could be something so much bigger and impact the lives of so many more individuals. And we've actually identified a group of girls and women who this entire movement and this particular permission movement experience is going to help focus on. And they are girls aging out of foster care. They are girls transitioning out of juvenile detention, women transitioning out of the prison system, women and children who've suffered abuse and are now in a whole different space in their lives, that having the tools in their toolbox, their success toolbox, that will help them to create the kind of future that we all maybe have once dreamed of. That's what's important to us. It's that greater social cause. It's that greater opportunity to help these girls and women to step onto the next stage of their shero's journey, where they're not only able to better help themselves, but they then can help others. It truly is the ripple effect. And we're so glad that you're here sharing this with us today, because our guest has something very important that she wants for you to learn. The Permission Movement Experience, over 9 weeks with 9 celebrity guests and the co-authors of the Permission to Be Powerful book, are bringing you these trainings and interviews and panel discussions because it is us creating that drop that creates the ripple effect that helps others to move forward in their lives. And one of the things that I wanted to bring to this was the whole concept of story. You know, we all have one, and it could be bad, I mean horrible, it could be totally beautiful, yet in it we have all experienced life, which life offers us everything in the way of the possibilities of happiness, the possibilities of challenges. And it's all about how you choose to handle those things when they show up. That really speaks to who you are and the journey that you've been on. Now, the 20 co-authors in the book Permission to Be Powerful have written their story, their shero's journey story, that's included that just one of the many possible tools and strategies that they've used to help catapult their lives to where they now stand in a place of power and love and opportunity, and we're sharing that with you. So I want to introduce you today to my co-host and the interviewer of our guest today, Ms. Aline Boundy. One of our co-authors. She's a life coach, a qualified Reiki and EFT practitioner, and the founder of Align with Your Purpose. And she actually helps people turn their lives around by discovering what they're truly good at, what they're gifted at, and finding their sense of purpose. She was a 30-plus year teacher in the UK and European teaching system, and she's interviewed many experienced leaders in the field of personal development. So she's here to bring her inspired creativity with her business Path to Purpose, and she's going to be interviewing our amazing guest today, Ms. NATALIE LEDWELL. So, Aline, welcome. Thank you. And let me just find my screen here. There you are.
Hi, Lynn. Thank you very much. That's lovely to be here. It's a real pleasure to be invited, to be the person to interview Natalie. I've interviewed Natalie before, and I'm a great fan of mind movies. So I'll just tell our guests a little bit about who Natalie is if they don't know, although I'm pretty sure most people will. But Natalie is the best-selling author of Never in Your Wildest Dreams, which is her book, and she's an inspiring speaker. She's host of The Inspiration Show and co-founder of Mind Movies. Natalie and her team have reached over 2.1 million people. That's huge, all around the globe. And she empowers them to use the same success principles that she used to crawl out from under $120,000 of credit card debt. And I'm sure many of you out there can relate to that particular stress in our modern lives. And she crawled out of it to build a multi-million-dollar business company in only 4 short years. And that was during the worst world economic crisis that we've seen in our lifetime. So, fantastic achievement there. She initially started to change lives by helping people visualize a bright new future by creating their very own personal digital vision boards, which is what mind movies are if you're not familiar with them. And she continues to educate many people through her incredibly popular programs like the 7 Secrets to Happiness and the Ultimate Success Masterclass. And she doesn't just stop there, though. On she goes. She is trying to fulfill her mission of making a positive difference around the world through her commitment to donate 10,000 Mind Movies for Kids accounts and her school curriculum, PD for Kids, which I presume is personal development for kids, to underprivileged children in Colombia. And this groundbreaking program, it's kind of what I wish had been in school when I was a child, educates children on the power of their thoughts and words and how to build their self-esteem and how to celebrate what makes them. But so much alignment with what we're doing in the permission movement, helping them to see the best in themselves and others and have real hope for their future. So welcome, Natalie. It's fantastic to have you here on the Permission Movement Experience.
Hi, Aline. It is always a pleasure to talk to you, and I'm very happy to be here and to share all about our stories and the stories that we make up for ourselves, and to have like an awesome conversation like I always do with you.
Oh, thank you. So the title of your talk today is Your Story is Not Your Own, Share It. And that really resonates with me, One of my coaches always says, we share our stories so that others can share theirs. And there's a real power in that ability to share your own story. By sharing our own stories, we're kind of vulnerable, we open ourselves up, but we also, by doing that, we give others permission to share their stories and to relate to what we say, or at least to look at it a little differently. So, what do we mean by story in this context? We all have a story, whatever it is, and at some point we wake up to realize that, either that story, somebody else was writing that for me, or I'm not actually consciously participating in writing it at all. So, Natalie, could you please give the audience a little more of your story and give us a chance to learn how you went from the girl born in Australia to the woman who now stands powerfully stating, our story is not our own, and tell us how we might share it.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you a little bit about my story and then how, because the thing is we actually get to choose our story. And even though we may have a story now that we recite all the time, that doesn't mean that it's the story that we need to carry forward if it's a story that's not serving us. We want to make sure that, if we have a story, it needs to be empowering because we get to choose. And for every story that we have, there's probably 20 different versions or 20 different ways that we could say that story. So we get to choose the version that's going to be most empowering to us. But I actually was born in a small town in Australia called Orange, and I'm one of 8 children. So I grew up in very meager means, and it was interesting. I always say this now. It's like to have someone's like the black sheep of the family. Well, I wasn't just the black sheep. I feel like sometimes I'm the alien. Like I'm so far removed from my family and so forth that I feel like I was just dropped in there from somewhere else. But I've always been someone who has dreamed big, and always wanted to create a new story for myself. I left school when I was 15, and I was 17 when I moved out of home. I was 18 when I moved to Sydney, so the big city from my small town. And then, of course, if you know any part of the My Movie story, I met my husband in 95, and we were serial entrepreneurs. We had many different businesses of varying degrees of success. But I remember in 2006 just sitting at my desk being extremely frustrated, looking at all my bills, looking at my bank balance. At the time, Glenn and I had 4 businesses we were running at the same time, and still financially slipping backwards. And I'm like, this is crazy. I'm missing some vital piece of information here. And so, not long after that, I saw a movie called The Secret, which explained the law of attraction to me for the first time in a way that I understood. My big takeaway is that I don't need to know exactly what I don't need to know the whole plan. I can just do one thing at a time. Like all I need is one step and then the next step. And as long as I keep that vision of where I want to head up or where I want to end, then that means that I can actually, keep that vision, be that vibrational match, and then things will start to fall into place that I couldn't have planned for anyway. And so not long after that, a friend of ours came to us with a movie, which was like affirmations and photos and music combined. And I'm like, you need to show me how to make this for myself. It's fantastic. And then he came to us with the idea of setting up a website, which, and having the instructions so people around the world could make these movies for themselves. Now, like I said, we had 4 businesses. So we needed another business like a hole in the head. And we knew nothing about the internet. Glenn could hardly turn on a computer. I think he'd sent maybe 2 or 3 emails in his life. I hadn't even heard of YouTube. And this is the end of 2006. And I'm like, we don't know nothing about the internet, but we understood that this was a very powerful idea. So to cut a very long story short, we committed to launching My Movies to the world. We came over to the US, put everything on the line. By the time we got to the launch, we had dug ourselves into $120,000 on credit cards, which is on top of all the mortgages and everything else that we had at home. And then, of course, as luck would have it, our launch fell the week the economic crisis hit the planet in September 2008. But I'm very happy to report that we ended up doing a $700,000 week that week.
Wow.
Selling a product that was helping people to hold a vision and to rewrite their story of the future that they wanted. And it just happened to be perfect timing because, it was a time where everyone was hurting. Like it was like this massive reset on the planet. For a lot of people, they lost their fortune, they lost everything, and had to restart again. And it's interesting, I've been talking to a lot of people just recently about how 2008 for them was like a complete reset of how they decided to operate in business moving forward. How they decided that, their lifestyle or the way that they serve was more important to them than the money and the things. Because when you lose all the things and you've had them and you lose them all, you realize, well, okay, I'm still alive. So what really is important to me? I realize that things aren't that important. So rewriting the story from that perspective, and we have the ability to do that. When we look
that's fantastic. I mean, in one sense, I'm sure it felt like terrible timing when you had the economic crisis just at the same time. But as you say, it's turned out to be absolutely the best thing, hasn't it? In the long run, it was really fantastic. And that's true. We can always choose, and mind movies do that. They allow us to stay focused, don't they? Because that's often a tricky thing for lots of people, staying focused on their vision. They may be able to have their vision, but it doesn't particularly lend itself to having it in the front of your mind all the time. So the actual mind movies technology brings that into everyday life very, very easily. So Natalie, going back to when you were a little girl before all of this happened, do you remember what you thought life might be like as an adult when you were a little girl?
You know, that's really interesting. I had a very challenging childhood, as you can imagine. You know, I'm in a country town with quite a big family, so you know things were a little challenging. So, and I never dreamed that big. I do remember that when I left school when I was 15, I was like, oh, if I could have stayed at school, and the only reason I left is, you know, financially, mum and dad couldn't afford to keep me at school. But I'm thinking I would have loved to have been a teacher, you know, and I always thought I was going to be a PE teacher. And I remember that my first career was in fitness. So it was the closest to being a teacher and fitness that I could get. And then now I find myself, you know, after a 10-year period of what I call my beige years. I call them beige because beige is just a nothing color, and these were nothing years, but it was like it's 10 years of just having all these myriad of businesses and not feeling connected and not feeling like a purpose, and my soul was like dormant. It's like nothing's really happening, and we're just kind of going through the motions. And then I remember, like, after the first year with my movies, I mean, you know, we were doing it pretty tough. We had no money to pay anyone to do any of like things like write emails or do autoresponders or build websites. We had to do that all ourselves and learn how to do that ourselves. So after we got through that big, you know, launch and able to set up the foundation that we could sort of sit back and go, okay, let's employ some people to do these things. What are the gifts that we can contribute? Then I found that, you know, I stepped back into this teacher role again. And it was like I felt like I was home, you know, and it was like, okay, yeah, so this is the rewriting of my story. This is where I'm going, like, you know, this is where I was meant to be. Because it really, when I worked in fitness, I really felt like I had a career where I was making a difference, you know, and I was teaching not just, you know, clients, but club owners from all over Australia how to run their business. And so when I stepped back into the again, it's like my soul woke up. It's like, oh my God, here we are. Oh, and you know, for me, I think that our purpose, that all of our purpose of life is the same. You know, that we're here to contribute, to serve, and to be the best version of ourselves that we can be, which I think is an ever-evolving and expanding journey. But our mission in how that shows up for us is different. You know, and I've often said, like, my movies is my mission for now, but I'm not sure it'll be my mission forever. You know, it doesn't need to be that. And already I know that from my spiritual experiences and things I went through last year, that my focus for 2015 is going to be more with women and children, because of my personal journey and where I can see my vision going. So, you know, it's always morphing and changing, and I think that if we can stay open, because, you know, when we stick to one particular story, we're stuck in that story, and we close ourselves off to the incredible and amazing opportunities and different avenues and directions that our life can go in. You know, it's like when I talk about keeping a vision or holding space for where we want to go, I always say don't be too specific, you know, because the how and which things are going to happen is not really your job. That's up to the universe. But if you hold the bigger picture of how you want to serve and you want to do something you feel passionate about and you want to help others and so forth, I mean, there's a million different ways that can come to fruition for you. And most of the time it'll come into your life in such an astounding and amazing and incredible way, and a way that you may not have even thought of. Like, believe me, if someone had told me that I was going to create this life through the internet 2 weeks before Ryan approached us with this idea, I would have laughed at them. I'm like, as if that's going to happen. And yet here we are.
Yes, it's a remarkable story, isn't it? And I love how you tell that, you know, what you wanted to be when you were younger was a teacher, really. And you must have felt disappointed that you didn't go let's say the traditional route through college and so on to do teacher training, to be a teacher in a school. But I mean, you're now teaching with such a massive audience, a global audience, really, and there's absolutely no limit thanks to the internet. And as you say, isn't it strange how things work out, that if you can let go of the how and not be too specific about that, then you just things open up for you as they have. That's marvelous.
Yeah.
So Natalie, how does the story that you've grown up with and the story that you choose to live now, how does that influence what you're doing in business now? I mean, you've alluded to moving into working with women and children more. Is this the next stage for you, is it?
Yeah, and here's what I have realized about I have a lot of friends that are transformational leaders, that do the similar work to what I do and have a similar message. Mm-hmm. And maybe you have realized this as well, Aline, is that, we all seem to have been going through some very challenging times lately. Mm-hmm. Some really challenging times. Like I've had, friends that have been diagnosed with breast cancer, people going through divorce, mm-hmm. A whole bunch of different things. And I really feel like the reason that we're going through this right now is so that we can move through it, learn how to move through it, and then be able to teach others to be able to do the same. I really feel like there is a mass awakening happening on the planet right now, and especially women, where all mm-hmm. of a sudden we have this yearning. We're not sure what it is, but we know that there's more. And a lot of the women that I'm speaking to lately are lost, and they're not quite sure whether they're, coming out of a long-term relationship. Maybe their children have gone off to college. Maybe they're stepping out of a long-term career, or there's been a change there. And because they've given themselves to these roles for so long in their life, they're getting to this point going, well, I don't know who I am. Like I've been a wife and mother for so long, I've forgotten to nurture myself, and I'm finding that's happening a lot. And what's interesting is, like, for me, I found myself in exactly the same position. Now, from the outsider looking in, my story and my reality looked like I had this incredible business. It was financially successful. I had amazing friends. We traveled the world, got to do what I felt passionate about. Everything looked fantastic, but I felt like I was lost. I felt like I'd lost sight of who I was, and that I was just going through the motions. I don't have children, so it's not like I had to take on that role as well. And, like, God bless all the women out there who are mothers, who have this on top of, maybe a career or anything else that they're doing as well. But even so, I kind of just got lost with who I was. And so last year, I felt like it was my coming out year. And as you know, like, even through the videos and everything, my energy and my light and everything has completely changed, because I've decided to spend more time in getting connected with who I really am, and that's really helped me to step up in a different way, and now understand the struggle that a lot of women are going through right now. And it's like my soul was like, oof, waking up all of a sudden, and now now my journey is to help women go through that journey themselves, and remember the unique version of who they really are and the amazing gifts that they have. And it doesn't matter how old you are or what your life story has been up until now. There's absolutely no reason why you can't, like, wipe the slate clean and start all over again in a way that's so passionate and purposeful and meaningful, that has your second half of your life being way more mind-blowing than the first half. So.
Yes, it's interesting. You're right. You're absolutely right. I've come across this as well, and I'm sure Lynn has too, that there are an awful lot of people who are struggling, who are at a turning point, a crossroads in a sense, like you say, and looking for some guidance and some, what can I do next? And that's what we're all here about, isn't it? It's what we're all here to help with. And what the permission movement is here to help empower girls and young women who are particularly, let's say, disadvantaged in their current circumstances. It's very much like what your program in Colombia sounds like, to give these people the tools and the ability to look at who they are and really dig deep and find their purpose and find their reason for what they're here. As you say, everyone's purpose is the same, their mission changes, but we all have things that we're good at, don't we, that sort of lead us to be clearer about our purpose on the planet. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. And so, Natalie, as I mentioned in your introduction, you've co-founded Mind Movies, currently launching Mind Movies 4.0, isn't it? You are founder and host of the Inspiration Show, and you're about to embark on a new venture, I believe, which I'll let you talk about in a minute. How has your story influenced all of these kind of manifestations of your purpose?
You know, it's like everything that I've done in my life is leading up to this point, and then leading up to the next point, leading up to the next point. Mm-hmm. And I think you're alluding to the Wake Up TV project, which is again, I'm mind blown at the possibilities, and it's you know what, this is a perfect example is that when you show up. And you share your gifts and you show up as the real authentic version of you, that it's amazing how when the opportunities that come to you are attracted to you because of how you're showing up, you know, which I think is really important. I was approached before in December last year and by a couple of women who, you know, sent me an email and said, you know, we'd really like for Natalie to host a TV show. Can we talk to her? And I'm like, sure, right, okay, whatever. Like, as if, like, and I'm thinking, I don't even know who these people are, and how would they possibly find me? So I got on the phone with them, and what's really exciting about this project is that it's going to be a consciously aware talk show on mainstream TV. Which I think it is time for this to happen, and it's going to be set up like The View. So there'll be 3 other women that are on the show with me, and we've got women like Betsy Chassey, who was one of the co-creators of What the Bleep Do We Know, which did a great did a great job of taking the quantum science and then explaining it in a way that most people understood. And we have Zena Muzica, who works for Enliven Books, which is a subsidiary of Simon & Schuster, and we have Cindy Ertman, who's been teaching transformation in the mortgage industry for years, and she's been a leader in that industry. So we're looking with the show. We're looking at you know, this conversation that we often have on these type of shows and teleseminars, but taking it to mainstream. You know, it's like a bridging show, and being able to expand this conversation so that when something happens in the world that's, you know, a current affair topic, you know, we can discuss it from a place of love and a place of action and a place of, well, yeah, we could sit here and be scared about this situation, but what's something that we can proactively do from a place of love that's going to make a difference? So this is you know, the show that we're working on. We're actually filming the pilot episodes in the beginning of March, and it's such an amazing project. But, you know, if you'd like to find out more about that, or, you know, support us, if you go to wakeuptv.net, you got all the information there. But we'd love for your support and to see, you know, how we can bring this conversation to the world in a way that's really meaningful and authentic.
That's fantastic. You're absolutely right. I think Lynn would agree that it is definitely time for these kinds of conversations to be more widely available. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because when you're on these sorts of things all the time, you forget that we're actually a relatively small bubble. I mean, we might be quite a big bubble compared to some things, but we're a relatively small bubble in the big picture of the whole planet. But to take it to live TV and national TV in the States, this is, isn't it? Then that is just amazing. And the thing is that I'm sure it will reach so many people who will resonate with the message, because, as you say, it's a time when people are waking up. People are starting to want more. They want to be more connected with themselves, with others. There's a definite shift in business from you know, what used to be it's all about the money kind of thing to how can we best serve. And people are finding, and you mentioned this right at the beginning, that people are finding that when they can step in authentically into their purpose and serve others in that way, then things just start to flow like they've flowed for you from my movies, which obviously you're still involved with, but moving on to this new TV show. That's fantastic. That really is. Yeah. So how do you see things moving from there? Do you like to peer into the future a little bit, Natalie, or beyond the TV show?
Well,
I know we have to live in the moment.
Yeah, I know. No, of course, visualization and future pacing and looking into the future is something that I do on a very regular basis. Obviously with something like the TV show, especially because there are other women that are involved with the show as well, we have a very common vision of where we want the show to go. So when you have more than one person who's actually, buying into that and having that same vision, you actually increase the power of the manifestation ability that you have by tenfold. It's also like with the children's, Colombian project. I got teamed up with a university down there who came across my movies. I have a friend that lives in Colombia, in Medellin, which used to be the most violent city in the world. It's now the most progressive. And they're all on board with being able to really turn things around. And when the dean of this university saw my movies, he goes, "We must have this." So I remember being on a phone call with him going, "Okay." I go, "Yes, I can supply the software so you can translate for me." Then he asked me to create a curriculum as well for 6 to 12-year-olds. And I'm like, sure. I'll get off the phone and go, "Oh my God, how am I going to do that?" But of course, I manifested miracles, and I had a woman come into my life who's a teacher who specializes in early age curriculum that helped me with that. And I really taught my way into something. I had no idea what I was doing, but of course it all came together. But, with something like this is our way of giving back. We're donating 10,000 accounts, and we're training the teachers, and we're giving all of this for, from our company. But every single person in our company knows the project and holds the same vision for it as well. So of course Colombia is just the beginning. I've been talking to people that have got connections with the Aboriginal communities in Australia. We're looking at getting into low-income schools and teaching schools here in the US, and really looking all over the world. But when you can actually get a whole group of people to buy into the same vision, then you increase that tenfold. And when you're thinking about your vision and your visualization, I always think about, what is it that I want to achieve? So with something like this project, I reached 10,000 children by the end of 2015, which is our commitment. And then I think about, what does that mean? What does that look like? So for me to have a very powerful visualization, it's really important that you feel the emotions of already achieving it. 10,000 children, okay, that's great. But, I see when I'm doing these visualizations, I see myself walking into the classroom and having the children run up and the smiles on their faces and sitting down with them and talking about, how happy they are and things that they've achieved. Having conversations with the parents. They asked me to include exercises for the parents to do as well. Sitting down with them and seeing how it's changed and improved their life as well, and the teachers and and this is like 10,000 children. That's not like a drop in a school. This is a ripple that is going to go through generations, and it's going to ripple out from there. And it's just the beginning. So when I sit in that, sometimes it overwhelms me with the responsibility, because I think, oh my God, this is so huge. But I'm like, Nat, as you know, you just got to do the next step. Focus on the next step, and then that everything will start to fall into place for you, which of course it always does, when you hold that future vision. So
yeah, I love that example of the law of attraction in action there you've just given us. Isn't that fabulous that you have this vision and you had and then suddenly somebody wants you to create a curriculum for 6 to 12-year-olds, which is not exactly your area of expertise, but hey, somebody shows up who is an early years specialist or whatever the term is. And it's just lovely that, as you say, if you can hold the vision and keep it strong, that the how of it, the part that you have to let go of, it just works, doesn't it? It's absolutely marvelous. It
Absolutely.
really is.
That's the thing. And and that's the thing, like we get to create a story moving forward, but and the other thing that I think about is the story from our past. You know, often we've had things that have happened to us in the past that, you know, we have made our story. You know, we had a bad childhood. And people obviously have had some very terrible things have happened in their past. But the more you keep repeating that, the more you keep saying that, what happens is that it stops you from creating an amazing future, because you're already predicting what your future is going to be, because you're stuck in the pattern of the past. You know, and like I said, I'm from a big family, and I had a very challenging childhood, and you know, and me personally challenging. You know, my mum and I, our personalities did not get on very well at all, so that added to the challenge. But when I look back, I could easily go, well, poor me. Look at this, you know, childhood that I had, and then had that affect my future moving forward. Well, see, the thing is, when things happen to us, whether they're, you know, bad or good, we have control over two things. We can't control the situations, but what we can control is how we choose to perceive the story, how we choose to tell the story, and how long we choose to let that story affect us moving forward. So, and for everything that happens in our life, there is always something good that comes out of it. You know, so when I look back at my childhood, I go, okay, yeah, it was challenging at the time, but you know what? That childhood and that experience that I had is what has given me my resilience. It's what's given me my, you know, my zest for life. It's what's given me my strength. And it's given me a lot of the skills that I have now that's been able to serve me to step into this bigger version of what I, you know, am creating for myself. So when I talk about my childhood, I always talk about, you know, how it really helped me to step into this version of me. Now that's the story that I choose. You know, and the more that I say that, the more that expands, and the more that it gives me the power and empowers me to create an amazing story moving forward. So I think that's really important when we're thinking about our stories. You know, I know Neil Donald Walsh says, you are not your story. You know, and I say yes to that. I agree with that. If we have a story that's not empowering, but we can be our story, and we can be the biggest, most amazing, juicy, delicious version of our story that we want, because we have the ability to be able to create the reality that we want.
We choose it, yeah. Thank you, and thanks for touching on, you know, what is often the negative part of our past and the things that people can stay stuck in for many, many years. And I think lots of people will recognise that as being part of, you know, their story. I think an important thing to bring to it is a level of awareness. You have to become aware that you're telling yourself this story instead of just living it and reacting. And then once you've got the awareness, you can start to change it and choose what you want to say, like you just mentioned. Yes, it's very powerful, isn't it? But also important to dig out those things that have kept us stuck and deal with them in some way. You know, give yourself permission to let them go, in a sense, and make peace with them.
Yeah, and remember too, the story that you tell, especially if it's from, you know, your younger years, has been influenced by your environment, you know, the people around you. You know, remember your parents had their story, you know, which they got from their childhood, and they got it from their parents who got it from their childhood. So sometimes we have a story that's not even ours, that's that's really been passed down by generation, and whether that story in the form of, you know, things that happen to us, the way that we have certain, you know, belief systems, or where we have certain opinions on certain things. There are many times that we have an opinion or a program around money or our self-worth or our self-image or anything like that that's not really ours. You know, it's just, it's been molded, or, you know, by the incidents and situations in our childhood. And so we cling on to this, and it's like, you know, it taints the way that we look at our future and the way that we move forward into our lives. And so, you know, when we, like you said, when we can become aware that we've got these stories and these programs rattling around in our brain that really aren't serving us, that are actually sabotaging us from living like a full life of love and success and happiness, then we need to make a choice and an intention to go, you know what, this is not working for me anymore. I've had it long enough. You know, I need to move forward and choose a new story for myself and start stepping into that every single day.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true and so powerful. Thank you. Yeah. So Natalie, if there was one thing that you felt passionate about sharing with our audience for today, something that they can take away and remember from today, what would that be?
You know what? When I found out that I actually have the ability to create, what I see and what I get to live in my life, I was excited. But then when I look at what I actually have been able to create since then, and as you know, Aline, I live an amazing life. I have an amazing set of friends. I hang out with people like Bob Proctor and Jack Canfield, and
I know.
which is mind blowing. Like a little old me from Orange, Australia. It's like wow. But the thing is, I everything that I've created, I have set an intention and visualize myself living this life.
Right.
And the thing is, when you come from a place of service and you can hold this space, that vision is not going to come true for you. What comes true for you far exceeds anything that you could ever have dreamed up for yourself. And when I look back at how I was struggling back in 2006, my beige years and all of those, if I had to go through another 10 years of that to get to live this life, it would be worth every single minute.
Wow.
So for me, it's like, when you know and you can purposely create your future through your visualizations, through feeling your emotions, through taking just that next step and then the next step and creating this amazing life, then you become the example for other people to be able to step up and shine in a way that they never could as well. So take the challenge, ladies, and create the future you want.
Thank you. Challenge accepted. Thank you, Natalie. And I know that you have, I know Lynn maybe has some questions from the audience, but I know that we'd like to just ask you to tell us a little bit about the bonus gift that you've brought for anyone watching.
Yes. So
I'm sorry, ladies. Before you get to that, I would like to just read a couple of the comments that have been posted in the group. It's just been amazing how people are responding to this. Let me see here. Cynthia Gardner O'Neill really aligned with your story about coming from the financial disaster. She went through something similar herself, and recognizing that she could set herself free from that experience to go forward and live something even more powerful. And she goes on a little farther to say, choose your story wisely because you can. It's a choice. And I think that that is really key, where a lot of us are still in the place of shame and guilt and even blame. This was my parents' fault, or this was somebody else's fault. And it really is not until you reconcile with owning it, whatever it is that happened. You're now in the space of it's yours, what are you going to do with it? And you mentioned it so very clearly, Natalie. You have to decide, yes, it is what it is, and I choose to look forward. And I call that a process of detachment. It's still your story, but the emotional connection to it has changed. And I think one of the powerful things that you now teach very avidly is about using that story to help propel you into your future story. And I so appreciate how you actually broke down, when I recognized that this was who, this was what, this was, where, and I could actually look at that and say, it told me a lot about myself. And, if there was something else that you could give to women, to even the men who are watching our show today, to help them to get through that process, because there obviously are tools and strategies in order to help move through that particular process, what would you share with them?
For me, when I'm sitting down to write out affirmations, or to get clear about the vision that I wanted, or the life that I want to create. For me to very comprehensively cover all my bases, so that when I watch my mind movie or read my affirmations, it's easy for me to put myself into that picture and put myself into that future. I always describe, what it is that I want. So there's a specific goal. I also describe what life is like now that I've got there, because it's, that's what puts you in the picture. You need to be able to feel what it's like to already be there. So what does wealth mean to you? What does your picture of health mean to you? How does that change your life and affect the people around you? Also, I write down why I'm doing this. For me to be able to empower a whole new generation of children to understand the power of their thoughts and their words, and to build their self-esteem, and to know that they can consciously create their future at a very young age. Like, to me, that changes a generation. It changes our planet. It dissolves borders. It makes sure that, we have this whole thing. So that's my why when it comes to a project like that. And then I also have my actions. I write down in my affirmations what I'm doing on a daily basis to move myself forward. I mean, obviously I have a big project board and have all the next steps there, but I also commit to making sure that I'm doing something every single day, whether it's something small, to get me moving me closer to that goal. And then I also like to write down some thought affirmations. So these are thoughts that I need to think to be in alignment with this new future. So if I'm looking at creating wealth, I'm not thinking about, oh my God, how am I going to pay my bills next week? I'm focusing more on how I can create more wealth. I'm thinking, how does a wealthy person think? If the thoughts that I'm having, and I become very aware as I'm working towards a particular goal of what thoughts are coming up for me, and I'm thinking, oh, hold on a minute, does that thought come from love? Especially when we're talking about a health goal. Oh my God, I can beat myself up like nobody's business. And I would never talk to anyone else like this, but internally I talk to myself, and I beat myself up all the time. And so now I stop and go, wait a minute, is that thought coming from love? Because I love me and I love my body. Is that thought coming from love? And is it empowering? And if I am consciously aware of it, then I go, okay, well, what am I choosing to think instead? How am I creating a new thought around this and operating from this new thought paradigm, so that I start to be the healthy person, or I start to be the wealthy person? Because when we can be in that being of being that person, thinking and acting that way, we resonate at a certain frequency out into the universe, and then whatever is a vibrational match to that gets attracted back to us, so we can create that reality for ourselves. So when you can sit down and write the what life is like now, why, your actions, and the thoughts that you need to think to become this person, then you have comprehensively been able to put yourself in that visualization, describe that whole future for yourself, and make it easy for you to see yourself there.
That's fantastic. I wonder, Natalie, would it be possible for you to lead us in a short visualization experience? Would you be willing to do that?
Yes, sure.
I just think it's great you're telling us, all of these steps. I just think it would be. I think we've got enough time to fit one in. It's just a quick one, if you're willing.
Absolutely. Okay. So I'll just make sure that you're all sitting very comfortably. When you're doing your visualization, you don't necessarily have to have your eyes closed. Although in this situation, we will get you to do that. Because you're obviously not driving the car or operating heavy machinery, so that is good. And if you can, have your feet on the floor. When you're doing these visualizations and you're tapping into something that's outside of you and bigger than you, it's good to have your feet grounded. So if you can have your feet flat on the floor, don't have anything crossed. If we have arms crossed or legs crossed, we're limiting the energy that can come to us. So if you're sitting with, legs together, feet on the floor, and then just close your eyes and take a nice deep breath for me, just breathing in so we can center ourselves. That's it. And breathing out. Take one more big breath, breathing in and breathing out. So I want you to imagine yourself just, you're in bed, it's the morning, and you're waking up. And as you're waking up, you feel energetic. You're feeling alive. You're feeling clear, and you cannot wait to face your day and to get into your day. I want to see yourself getting out of bed, and as you're getting dressed and getting ready for the day, you're focusing on all the things that are amazing in your life right now. The amazing family that you have and how you're surrounded by love. The work that you're doing in the world that's helping to change the lives of not just the people that you touch, but the people that they touch and the people that they touch. I want to see yourself leaving the house now. You're walking down the street and it's a beautiful sunny day. And you can smell the fresh flowers and the beautiful trees, and you're walking along just being so eternally grateful for the life that you get to live. I want to see yourself arriving at your place of work and just being so excited to get into your day. And just sitting there realizing that the work that you're doing is changing the planet. You know, see the smiles on the faces of the people that you're helping. See yourself in a conversation right now with someone who is thanking you for changing their life, for empowering them to live a life that they never thought was possible for them. And feel the joy that you get from that conversation. How does that make you feel? To see you, it's the evening now, you're heading home and you're looking forward to spending time with your family. You're sitting at the dinner table. You're surrounded by the people that you love. And each person at the dinner table is taking time and sharing with you how amazing their day was. And they're thanking you for being the parent that has instilled in them the values that they get to have an amazing life. You're talking about how they've infected their friends in a real positive way. And you're feeling the love and the pride that your family see and what they feel when they look at you. I want you just to sit in that for a moment. How do you feel when you have this pouring of gratitude and love from your family, from the people in the world that you're helping? I'd like you to take a really deep breath. So just breathing in very deeply now, breathing in and breathing out. Slowly open your eyes and come back to the room. So with your visualizations like that, it's, feeling that emotion. Putting yourself in that picture is the most important part of that whole process.
Yes, That was lovely. That was really, really lovely. Thank you for doing that, because it was sort of off the cuff, but I appreciate you stepping up and leading us in that. That was really beautiful. And as you say, it's the thing that is so important, isn't it, to add the emotions in and really feel them. I feel wonderful now. Thank you. I feel great. Yeah. Oh, so if we could, it's a little hard to come back into the room after that. I don't know about you, Lynn. Are you feeling a little bit
I know.
as well?
I feel the warmth and the love. Yeah, and
Fantastic.
it's like, what were we doing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're over on a hangout. So, Natalie, if we could get back to your bonus gift for the people watching, please.
Yeah, so what we've done is we've actually created mind movies for people to actually start to download, start watching straight away. So, you know, with Mind Movies 4.0, it's actually the software for you to create your own, but these are already done for you. Now, the beauty of a mind movie is not just that you have, you know, the affirmations that describe the goal that you want, that you have the pictures so it gives your brain an image to build on if you find it difficult to visualize. But of course, the secret sauce to a mind movie is the music, because when you can attach a song that moves you and absolutely blows your hair back and makes your heart sing, and you can attach that to the goals and the life that you want to create, then you create this associative memory so that every time you hear that song, you could even be in the car driving down the road, you will be put instantly into that visualization. So it's very, very powerful. So we've created 6 mind movies that you can download straight away. You can start watching them on your computer. You can download them to your phone, to your tablet. It doesn't matter whether it's Android or iPhone. And then you can carry them around with you. So that every time you need a little motivation, or you need to keep on track, or that, you know, maybe you have you're coming up to a weak moment, you're like, oh my God, I want to get back on track, then you can play your mind movie wherever you are. Then it really helps to remind you what you're doing and to keep moving forward. So the 6 pre-made mind movies we have are about wealth and abundance, loving and appreciating myself, and we all as women need to do that more often. Attracting a great partner, vibrant health, courage, and finding your best self. So with all of these, like I said, you can start to download them now. And the beauty of these pre-mades is that that gives you some ideas on what wealth looks like for you and what health looks like for you. So it helps you to get more crystal clear on the future that you want to create for yourself as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And you can find that at skyhawkenterprises.biz/Natalie bonus. That's skyhawkenterprises.biz/Natalie, NATALIE bonus. And yeah, that's a great, fantastic gift. Thank you very, very much. And I believe there's an offer too. Would you like to tell us about the offer, Natalie?
Yes, so we have we've put together a special offer, you know, for the people of the Permission Movement. It is access to Mind Movies 4.0. Now it's actually being released tomorrow. So you want to make sure that you want to, so it's access to the Mind Movie software. So, you know, some of the cool things that we've added to the software with this new version, and Aline, you might not even be aware of this, but now we can actually include video in our mind movies, not just pictures, which is awesome. And we have now also added subliminal tracks to the platform. So you can still create your mind movie with your affirmations, photos, or videos and music, but then you can also add a subliminal track. So let's say that you've created a mind movie about creating wealth, then you would choose the wealth subliminal track, and what happens is it plays as well as your music, but it plays very lightly underneath the music, and it kind of sounds like white noise, and you can't consciously hear it, but subconsciously you're absorbing the millions of affirmations that are laced into that. So we've now just increased the effectiveness of a mind movie tenfold by being able to add subliminal in there as well. So you get access to Mind Movies 4.0, which means lifetime access to make as many mind movies as you like. I'm also giving you access to the 7 Secrets to Happiness course, which is the course that I created after we did that first big successful launch of my movies, and I broke down all the things that we did to be able to create that success, and not specifically from a business point of view, but from how we applied law of attraction to our story and to our success. So it's broken down for you in that. Plus, we have a whole bunch of bonuses as well, which has been donated by people like Bob Doyle and Bob Proctor and Joe Vitale and all our friends. And there's there's over $1,300 worth of bonuses that are added as well. So for access to My Movies 4.0, all the bonuses and 7 Secrets to Happiness, we're actually doing a very, very, very special price of that at the moment for just $97 for everyone that's part of the permission movement.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, wow, that is amazing. I knew the launch was going on. For it to be included in the special offer, that's just fabulous. So you can run to get that one at the same URL. It's skyhawkenterprises.biz/Natalie offer. So instead of Natalie bonus, which is where you'll get the 6 pre-made Mind movies, if you go to skyhawkenterprises.biz/Natalie offer, and for only $97 you get My Movies 4 with Subliminal included, because I've used those and they are very powerful, and a whole bunch of extra bonuses. That is wonderful, Natalie. Thank you so much on behalf of all of the people, all the causes at the Permission Movement, and for anyone watching. That is wonderful. Thank you ever so much for that. And Lynn, I'll just hand it back to you to wrap up and tell us what's coming next. Thanks.
Thank you both. That has just been such an amazing conversation about your story, and just it's always such a unique pleasure, Natalie, to be in your presence, to be part of the discussion with you. And I'm just so excited because, and I want our audience to know this too, when the Permission to Be Powerful book is released, Natalie Ledwell has written our foreword. So we're really excited about that part as well, to be a part of the energy that you move in the world in. On behalf of all of our co-authors and our audience, I want to thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. And, I'm so honored to be part of this project. As you know, we're all have the same vision, that we can really help women step up into the most amazing version of the story that they want to create for themselves. And thank you so much for the work that you're doing and for putting this whole movement together. And, of course, Aline, it's always a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks, Natalie. Ditto, yeah.
Yes, and thank you, Aline, for being our beautiful, gracious host today. I want to thank our audience for being here with us today. It has truly been a pleasure to bring this module of the Permission Movement experience to you, and we are grateful that you continue to come back and join us. So look forward to seeing us on Thursday for another live module focused on social entrepreneurship. We've talked about the story and crowdfunding and traffic and, the whole business around building and sharing your story. And on Thursday, we're actually going to talk about how you can make your story, connect your story to a social enterprise that not only fills a portion of your own life and service to the world, but brings you into the light so that others will be able to support you and what it is that you're very passionate about. So join us again Thursday. Thank you once again for being here with us today. To our audience, we say, see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.